Hey everybody, Gisele Grenier here from artplace.ca. Well, for today's workshop, we're going to combine a whole bunch of techniques that we've learned over the last few videos, and we're going to combine them into making a more detailed background, which could be teeter-tottering onto a finished journal page. So we don't want to push it too far, but still keep it as a background. We're going to be combining the stamping on tissue, and to save time I've already done a few. Bubble wrap, stamping and removing, collaging paper doilies. We're going to work with some feathers, work with some stamping, work with some collage, work with some stenciling, layers, layers, layers. I'm also going to be introducing some spraying. I'm only going to be showing you a couple of sprays and then how to make your own. Okay, and there's a reason why I choose especially not to use this product here. So as with everything, all the supplies that I end up using are listed at the end of the video just to save time so I don't have to go through everything. But bubble wrap, paper doilies, random things to stamp and stencil, feathers. These are legally obtained turkey feathers, legally obtained meaning they are obtained in a humane and sanitary fashion. They're not just taken off turkeys in some random field. So you can, I got these from the States. You can Google where to buy feathers. You can also get them, I think, at dollar stores, but I don't know if they may be just manufactured like synthetic. They may not be real. So I've got two stencils here, here, and then that. So I'm going to put these aside because they're in my way. So I've got this just random page. Make sure it's okay. So this doesn't matter what side it's on then, but I'll work on this side. The first thing we're going to do, because we're going to be doing so much on this, is that you need a sturdy support. So if your support is not very strong, you want to apply a couple of layers of acrylic gesso, decoupage medium, or a multi-surface sealer. One of the, but the gesso is probably the better one because it'll stiffen up your page. This one is fine because we also have the crackling on the back, and it's nice and stiff. So we're going to be okay on that. What I do want to do, though, first thing is I want to tone the whole piece. This piece is going to be more of, I guess using more of the vintage. So when I think vintage, I immediately go to the neutrals. So I'm going to make my neutral bright. I'm going to use quinacridone gold. You can use any color you want. And because I'm going to be working just toning very quickly, I'm just going to use my 2-inch large area light nickel brush, and I'm just going to roughly put this in. Now, if you want to protect the back of your page, I've already told you how to do that. I'm not worried because I know I can wipe it off. And as I'm doing this, the brush is drying and drying and drying, and I know how far I can push this brush without running the risk of the paint drying out of it. Okay, so there's a page right by itself. Let's take this and kind of go. Did we get anything left in that? Yeah, we did. There we go. Okay. I'm going to do some stenciling. Now the stencil is too small for the page, so what I'm going to do is I am going to take it to the end. No, I'm not. I lied. I'm not going to stencil the ones on the end. I'm going to stencil everything else in the middle. Now, you can stencil with paint and you can stencil with spray. So, let me show you this while this dries. This is Radiant Rain. It's from Luminart. Extremely permanent. I have such a heck of a time getting this off my hands. So, unless I'm using gloves, I don't use this anymore. On top of that, I dropped the bottle once and it cracked. So I had to use glue to seal the bottle. I'm sure it's a fantastic product, it's just not for me. And then there's the Delusions. I love these. They're not permanent. These are from Ranger. I love these. Great transparent colors. They're really nice, and I'll show you. Very intense. Okay, these you have to fix. Now what you need to do, as with all sprays, there's a glare there, sorry. You have to turn your bottle upside down and spray, which cleans the nozzle, okay? And, oops, now that's my fault. I didn't press everything down. It just kind of smeared, but there you go. I could take this as well, turn this back over, and press it, and then you can see where there's a splatter, and this will actually push the ink back onto the page. Pretty neat, eh? And it just with regular cleanup, nothing else has changed. Okay, so far so good, right? Well, I need to, if I'm going to paint on top of this, I need to seal this. Okay, I can't leave it just the way it is. So this is where I run into the thing, well, okay, well either I go permanent like this or I go non-permanent like this. This is too much work on my hands to clean. This is too much work to seal at the end. But if you want to seal it, I'm going to show you how. I'm going to basically just dry this very quickly. Okay, and then you could spray some fixative. This is Spectrafix. And now I have to turn it upside down over a garbage can, spray to clear the nozzle. This clogs up very frequently, so make sure you turn it. And then dry it. It's best to let it air dry. Because there's alcohol in this, if you put your heat gun too close, you run the risk of it catching fire. And I've never heard, knock on wood, I've never heard of that happening, but common sense. You're putting a heat source next to something with alcohol in it. So I'm just pulling my heat gun further back, dries, and now with Spectrafix on it, it's fixed. It's best to use the Spectrafix in between many layers for a more permanent and protective finish on it. There we go. Because the dilution spray is water soluble, when you put it on, it dries, and you add so much Spectrafix, the Spectrafix also will dissolve. You need the Spectrafix, the alcohol, to evaporate to create a protective layer. So it's best to use many small layers in between. So, love this product. Absolutely love it. Well, what if you don't have access to that stuff, which is my problem. I don't have access to a lot of this stuff, and the place that I can get this stuff is very, 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 I'm talking like over the top expensive. I'm going to try to go over here because of the glare. So what do? Well, you can get little spray cans at the store, and what I did is I put about, oh, how much? It looks like it's about this much water. What if we just took a really powerful pigment? So if we took phthalo blue, which is like mega powerful, and let's add a little bit of watercolor medium to that. In a container, I would say it's equal parts of phthalo blue to the watercolor medium. Now, if you put this right inside, you're going to clog this up. Okay, that's a no-brainer. The pigment's going to go in there. So what I like to do is, if you have an actual screw cap that you can put on here, like that, and shake the bejeebers out of it. Put it back. Now this was just watercolor medium, and the paint, well, that's not going to hurt any if I put that back there. Now what you're going to need to do with this as well is turn it upside down to declog it, or just put a screw cap on it. You can get son of a gun, I don't have it here. You can get, Deco Art sells these, but with the flip cap, like this. You can make the bottles up like that, then just take the atomizer and just move it around. Just all you have to do is clean this. And there you go. You have an instant line of paint. But let's see, what are we going to get with this? Do I have scrap paper? Not really, so I'll just use this. Instant paint, instant spray. Bit splotchy, but it was bit splotchy on this as well. So let's do this, and we'll go up here. It will make a terrible mess, so I'll go upside down on this one. It's phthalo blue, remember. Now, the stencil is on here the exact same way that it was with the Delusions. Okay, so the paper's curled, no difference. There you go. Absolutely no difference in the paint, the way it goes on. So there you go. You could then take this and push it into another page, which will then transfer the stencil back onto that. So don't forget, you can reuse your stuff. So the key is, you know, the bright, intense colors. That's always the best. But yeah, so it's totally possible. If I want to get something a little bit more detailed, something I know that's going to lay flat. Come on. Problem with this is, for me to get the spray, I am going to definitely get the spray all around here. So you can create like barriers around with plastic, or use wax paper if you want to protect an area of your piece. So let's say I want to protect this. Okay. And I want to protect my table, left, right, and bottom. You would do this regardless of the product you're using. Okay, this is if you're using a stencil that just, for some reason, you must spray it for some unknown reason that painting or traditional stenciling won't work. You must spray it. So you could do this, and even this isn't going to be enough. And then I am going to get my hands dirty on this. Here we go. Oh, wouldn't you know, on the floor, upside down. Which means I got phthalo blue on the floor. Let's just do a quick wipe on that. And that's gone. There we go. So you're just going to take this now. You're just going to put it aside. Oh, no, that's from before. That's already there. Okay. So for some reason, if you absolutely had to spray it, it's possible to protect the area. Okay. Just make sure that with these, better yet, like it's just to clean this and then just put a cap on that. That's the better way to go. So that's for the spraying. Now, if we want to keep going on the technique on this, so we've done that. Okay. Now the ideal thing is that if you buy a bunch of the things with the caps on them and you just get one atomizer, it's a universal fit, that you can basically make a spray with any paint color you have, and the watercolor medium makes it reconstitutable, so it helps cut down on the clogging. Then you've got the water to dissolve it into something thin. Then we can say, well, what if I want to collage? Let's do something like that. Well, let's collage that on there this way. And we're only going to collage this corner. I'm working fairly quickly on this. It's just basically it's just to combine all the techniques. Well, not everything, but just combine what we have so we know that this is going to go from here to here. Okay, I'm going to tear that after, or tear it now while it's already on there. Okay. What else have we got? Okay. I'm going to show you something new. Decoupage over everything. Image printed on a regular inkjet printer. Face down. Burnish like your life depended on it, but do not get any decoupage back on the back side, or else this won't work. This is called an image transfer. I've done a ton of videos on this as well. We'll let that sit and dry. While we're at it, let's collage a little bit of tissue. I've got some pretty cool stencil here, or a stamp here, so this is transparent, so let's work with this. I'm going to go right. We already know that I don't like I don't like straight edges. So let's just get that in there like so. And tearing a little bit of that off just to really make it look old. There we go. It's just almost invisible. I can take... Ah! It's stuck on me. What else have we got here? The bird. I have a little owl. I have a little owl. Let's put him right here. Right on top. Try not to tear this one though. Okay. I have this really cool feather I'm going to add at the end. Let's collage this birdhouse right here. I'm going to go to the right to the corner. Oops. No, I did not want it to tear. Well, I'm going to leave it. There's nothing I can do about it. I'll wait for that to dry. Okay. Now this was the image transfer, but can we do something with this? We're going to be stenciling the word bird right on top of this. Okay. Let's take a feather. Let's just take a dilution spray for this one. Let's see what would happen. not too much. Not too much. Okay, so that didn't work. Well, let's pick all that up. Now we just have a very, very vibrant page. That's fine. Oh, while we're at it, let's wet this a little bit. And now we're going to wet our finger and start rubbing where this paper was and remove the top layer of paper. Now there's many different methods to do image transfers. With inkjet prints, I believe is probably one of the hardest because, first of all, your removal is never perfect. And this paper that I used is even worse because I used photo quality paper, not photo quality, presentation paper. So it's very thick. When you want to do an image transfer using an inkjet printer, use the cheapest paper you have access to. Okay, and I removed a little bit too much of the image there. That's fine. Sometimes you can get a good grab on it and pull quite a large piece. Now, the reason in the beginning I was saying don't get any decoupage back on the top because then you wouldn't be able to rub it off. And when you see that you're pulling off some of the ink, then you might be rubbing a little bit too hard or the piece hasn't dried enough. Basically where the paper edge is, there really should be no paper left because there was nothing printed there. My finger's killing me. And the image itself was a very like a very old distressed image. So you can see the stamping and stenciling, stenciling I should say, underneath. So we'll leave that. Okay. Let's cut this paper off. Actually, can I even tear it? Yeah. Then I'll just trim it after. Right. And I'm not using my good Westcott scissors for this because I don't want to ruin them. Alright, so we got a whole bunch of stuff on there. Well, we can still do collage. But when we still do more collage on top of this, keeping in mind that the focus I wanted this to be is of birds. Well, there really isn't anything here of birds, but the collage would be nice. So, I can either make more tissue with birds or just use something that has nothing to do with birds, but can be related to birds, such as singing. Bird singing. This is a very, very rough old piece of paper. And if I put it there, this one's not too transparent, so I'm gonna think twice about this one. I'm going to think twice about this one. Did I not do anything? Let's see, do I have anything here that I can use? Do I want to put the owl on here twice? How about beside himself? Like so. Side by side. How about I do that? That might look really cool. So let's try that. And then when this is dry, then we're going to try that feather thing again. This is what I like about the sewing paper. It's invisible. That is so cool. That is really, really cool. Wait for that to be dry before you cut it. And I'm going to get my heat gun and dry this. I get some alizarin crimson. And of course my brayer is in the laundry room drying. Okay, so now what am I going to do? Well, if I don't have a brayer that I can use, what if I took, like I'm not really planning this, but what if I took a sponge roller? Do you believe me that I didn't really plan that? Ooh, not quite enough. Let's put a little bit more on there. Think we'll get this to work? Let's try. Come on. Oh, yeah. That's cool. That's neat. So if we were able to do this, or like this, with that on there, and we got paint everywhere else, I would think that we probably could have done that and painted over everything, and that would have left a nice outline. But I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to put some more paint on here for a reason. I'm going to put paint on here to stiffen up the fibers on the feather. And this is going to make it for easier stenciling or stamping, using the feather as a stamp. There we go. I'm going to let that dry. We'll be able to now get a definite outline from that feather. So what else can we do? We're getting close to the end of the Book of Background series. We're getting ready to go on to the Doug portion of it, which is doing our unusual genre. And you can see that the actual background pages now are getting a little bit more complex, veering, teeter-tottering almost onto the on the border of being an actual journal page. Once we're finished all these journal pages, then I'm going to be taking this paper here and going to be covering up the book covers. Why don't we just do a little bit more? What if I did this? Making sure not to go past. If I go past, will that be the end of the world? Pff, no. What if I did it upside down now? Will there be anything else to will there be anything to transfer, I wonder? A little bit. Not too bad. Put that aside. So, I think now the only thing, let's see, we've done collage, we've done spraying, we've done stamping on tissue, collage, stamping on tissue, stamping on tissue, stamping on tissue, spraying. The only thing left now is for the actual term we're going to be using. You can see how fast this takes place. So I need my stencils and I need bubble wrap. What would be really, really cool is if this whole thing filled in, the background filled in here. So that's an idea for another one. So I would actually have to cut this out to fill that in. That would be kind of cool. Let me just give this a quick dry. Just to show you how easy it is to combine everything. So now I need a little bit more decoupage on that. This is going to require a little bit of careful planning on doing this. Okay. We have to choose a color. Well, I know what I'm going to choose. I'm going to explain why. If we look at our color wheel, and if we want to look at orange, so let's point to the pure color of orange, because the page has more of an overall tone. If I want to make something for a really nice, intense complement, I need to go to blue. Which blue do I use? Well, I have green in my page, so I can go to a blue green. So either this is ultramarine blue here, and this blue green, phthalo blue is kind of in here. Okay, I have red, so I could go to dioxazine purple or blue violet, which would be ultramarine blue. Ultramarine blue is transparent, so I'm kind of liking the way that one's going. Let's give that a shot. I am going to hit this with a little bit of extender. That can go in water. What I'm planning on doing, and this doesn't always work, I'm going to stencil the letters, and then I want to take the bubble wrap, put it on top, press, and lift up. And what we'll have is a bubble wrap letter that's inside the stencil. This typically should only be done one letter at a time. I'm going to try to do them all at the same time. My number 8 Bristle Bright. I always have to reach for my favorite stenciling brush. This may be a speck too wet. Let's see what happens. You know what? I'm going to do one letter at a time, because the chances of the stencil not moving is going to be very unlikely. This paint here might be a little too wet, and it's not wet because of the extender, because my brush I didn't blot it enough. So yeah, I saw that happening. And we'll just let that sit there just for a little bit. And if you pull, you'll get a bubble wrapped removed image. The paint is a little bit wet. I'm going to put it back down. So by the time we get to doing the other ones, this paint here will have had a little bit of time to dry. Let me just kind of spread it out a little bit. There we go. Okay. There we go. That takes care of that. And the eye. Oh, you know what? Let's do this the right way. Because the minute I put the bubble wrap on this, it's going to come off. The paint is going to come off. If you didn't want to do bubble wrap, you can do whatever you want. There's a bit of a dark spot there. Okay. Do you know the exhibition opens tomorrow? The X? My God, where did the summer go? I know where the summer went. It's called working. Blah. Let's do the other side. Oh yeah, much nicer. And yes, I should be cleaning my stencils right away. Where's this one here had paint on it? Now remember the part of the video that we did where we stamped on black paper? Wouldn't it look kind of cool if we were able to stamp a little something something on this blue with acrylics, and we know it's going to show up, and we know it's going to be permanent. Okay, this is drying out a little bit, which means I got to work a little bit faster. Hope I can still. You drop the bubble wrap down and press. Make sure you don't slide, otherwise you're just going to smear it. Beauty. You're just drying it enough so you don't, when you put the bubble wrap on top, you don't smear it. Ooh, I didn't put the R far enough. Okay, well we're going to overlap a little bit. I wasn't paying attention. Where is that stencil? There it is. So I went a little bit heavier over here to make sure it covered everything up. Just enough paint. Some of you may be saying, why don't I take this off and put the bubble wrap on? Because if I do smear it, it's easier to fix with the stencil on, because the bubble wrap won't go past the stencil. Uh-oh, what's that? That's fiber paper. No, it's not. It's from the collage, but I don't know. I don't know. Put this aside in my treasure box. How cool is that? How cool is that? What would be even cooler? And you know what? I don't have it handy. What would be cooler? No, I didn't use that one. I have this really amazing stamp. A singing stamp that would look totally amazing. Collage that. You get the idea of how far you can build this, and you can just go even further and further. The only thing left to do, what I want to do, is I want to distress the, distress the edges. If I want to deepen up this orange a little bit, I'm going to take quinacridone burnt orange, lovely noise, with a speck of burnt sienna, just a little bit. Make sure your letters are all dry. Lots of water. Lots of water. And because we're doing everything transparent, everything is showing through the layers. A little bit of this orange is coming up because when I sprayed the feather, I didn't seal it. And I could take a baby wipe or something dry, and you can just kind of wipe out areas that you want to leave unprotected. The image transfer of the birdies are gone. There we go. And I can just go over and just kind of fan this build up the edge just a little bit more. Just keep it nice and rough. It's a background, don't forget. And I'm going to hit this with the heat gun. There we go. Now, you know what would be really, really neat? Let's put this aside. Let's take our stencils again. It's a bit late now to be cleaning them, but okay. Let's take our stencils. Let's grab some gold paint. I lied, I'm going to use copper paint, or yeah, copper. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut each piece the size of each letter. Actually, it would be easier if I just did it this way. Okay. Those are so full of glue. I'll save that for the eye. This will be the last thing that we do on the page. Okay, so D-R-I-B. It's going to take me 5 hours to clean off this table. And oh, I have no more room. This table is so messy. Clean paper. My blue box is going to be full. Because my brayer is in the other room, I'm going to use this little spongy. What I want to do is I want to sponge the bubble wrap. But you got to make sure, if I want to put this down this way, so it's got to be upside down. There we go. It's got to be like that. I forgot to put it down first. This is easier when doing gelatin printing though. I have an idea now. Hang on. I did this backwards. I'm not going to edit out my mistake, because then what's the point? I'm not going to edit out my mistake. Put that down first. I already cut the stencil to fit, so it doesn't matter, or I cut the bubble wrap to fit, so it doesn't matter. And then just go over, lightly press, and lift up. There we go. Put that aside. And I'm just going to cut this a little bit smaller. I want the bubble wrap to be just as big as the stencil. You can use any color you want for this as well. And then where the bubble wrap, there's parts that the bubbles are broken, that'll look really cool. The bubbles get broken if you have full bubbles on your bubble wrap, and they get broken when you lift it up. And the paint, if the paint's been dried, and the paint breaks the bubble. I'm cutting off on the side where there's more paint, because that's where the bubbles are broken. I may need a little bit more metallic paint. This is Dazzling Metallics and it's copper. I was going to use the Traditions Gold, but I didn't want gold on this. I wanted something that was really, really subtle. Yeah, anything metallic, subtle. Not really. If you did this, you get a lot of paint on there. So let's see what that looks like. That's a lot of paint. Whoa. That's blingy. Will the D fit on that? No, because the G would have. I could have used that too. Okay, that should be all right. Oh, let me just hit this here, this corner. You can also roll with a brayer, but a brayer sometimes you will use a little bit too much pressure. Here we go. Cool, cool, cool. Oh, you know what? I don't have any paper towels, but what if we just use, I want to take up some of that paint. If I just push this paper, I should have did on this side. Will it remove some of the paint? Not a heck of a lot. If I use a baby wipe. Yep, just get it wet, wipe and turn. It's a little too intense for me. So just get it wet. And then just blot. Just make sure you keep, blah blah. Make sure you keep turning your paper towel though, or baby wipe though, so you're not just smearing the copper paint everywhere else. So the oomph from the metallic paint's a little too strong for me. You can leave it any way you want. This is drying out now. I'm not going to have much success. Oh, if I just press hard, it comes off. There we go. That's better. That's a little bit more even. Alrighty, so there we go. There's another one finished. This is actually kind of cool. This one's kind of neat. I'm going to dry this, and then I'm going to put a layer of glazing medium on this because I already have an idea what I'm going to do with this page, but that's going to be way down the road when we get to it. In glazing medium, what it does is it creates a barrier in between your layers. And you just put it on. That's there's nothing special or fancy about it. When you're using this, you have to be careful. I don't know what happens. I really should ask DecoArt. You have to use caution when using this on extremely dark backgrounds. So I would assume on black backgrounds. I believe because does it dry clear? Use prior to varnishing. Add paint for transparent layers. Non-yellowing satin finish. So I don't know what. I'll have to ask them. Well, it leaves solids behind. Okay, so like the extender and blending medium, like when it dries out, it leaves nothing behind. But this does leave something behind, so maybe it puts a haze. If it's satin, it's not clear. This will also seal this corner. There we are. And this I'll just let dry. And this background is finished. I hit this with the heat gun just for about 30 seconds just to get rid of the shine, but there we go. So here's another background done. So as you can see, we combined an awful lot of techniques in with this one, and as we go, the backgrounds are becoming a little bit more and more complex, and they're getting closer to actual journal pages. This could be a journal page by itself. So I'll leave this one as is, the layer of glazing mediums on there, and for the next upcoming videos, I'll be doing some demonstration on image transfers, and I believe I have creating some pastel backgrounds and some demonstrations using watercolor crayons, watercolor pencils, Inktense, all that other stuff. I don't use those things very often. I'm primarily an actual oil and acrylic artist, but I want to show you that stuff because a lot of people do use them, and I'll just share with you how I use the products in my own studio. So join me next time and stay inspired.